Hello and welcome to Moving Communities. Moving Communities is all about how we monitor and evaluate in the first instance the National Leisure Recovery Fund. And today I'm joined by Emma, who's going to give us some insight from Sport England's point of view. So Emma, can you just give us a quick intro, who you are and what you do, please?
Yeah, hi Dave, I'm Emma Bernstein. I'm a capital investment manager at Sport England, but more recently been part of the team working on the National Leisure Recovery Fund, working with DCMS and MHCLG to administer that funding with local authorities, but working with yourselves at LeisureNet, 4Global, Max Associates and Sheffield Hallam to deliver the Moving Communities platform.
Brilliant. Just before we go on, because I often wonder, people watch these things, what does MHCLG stand for?
Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Government. So yeah, one of the government departments that, working alongside DCMS, have provided this fourth tranche of funding to support local authorities with the problems from the global pandemic.
Brilliant. And honestly, that wasn't a test. That was, I know people will be watching going, what the heck is that? So I think it's always useful if we can explain ourselves sometimes on these things. So it's been a really interesting journey. I have to say it's been a real pleasure working with you, Emma. The way you coordinate things has just been fantastic. And we from LeisureNet thank you for the opportunity to effectively repurpose the National Benchmarking Service and create something that's going to be far greater than that. So just give us some insight. What's it been like from Sport England's point of view, working with this? We know there's 100 million out there, but how it's going to be allocated and how it's going to be monitored and that type of stuff. Just give us a bit of background, please.
Yeah, so we've worked with all local authorities that have had outsourced leisure provision to scope an application process. And we've been running that through from beginning of December, making the last awards now, sort of end of Feb, beginning of March. It's very much around assisting them with the recovery and reopening of their leisure service. The financial costs that are associated with that, particularly obviously having had a lockdown imposed on us since the fund launched. So yeah, very much working with those local authorities and their outsourced leisure providers to support them to get those doors reopened and people back using the centres and being active in them.
Absolutely. So this fund is effectively funds to be used by the end of March in ensuring that buildings can reopen once, well, we've almost got a roadmap now, we've just got to stick to it. So how important has that been when you've been talking to local authorities? How important has that money been to them? What sort of things are you hearing from local authorities?
You know, it's a pretty bleak picture. So the funding is really important. The message has been that any money they can get to support that provision is really valuable. There is a large gap there, and we know we're not filling the whole thing, but this is certainly an important contribution to that. There's a number of people that use those gyms and leisure centres to be active, and that will be critical in our recovery from the pandemic. So those local authorities are focused on making sure those doors can open and offer the best provision to their communities. And it's often the people that don't access sport and physical activity regularly who will use those centres. So the benefits that the activity and the service provided can drive are huge, and we want to make sure we can support that in the best way we can.
Absolutely, and that was, I guess, the really important bit when we looked at the 5 key drivers effectively that we're going to measure. So we've got income and expenditure around finance, participation, which includes those things around demographics of gender and race and age, etc. The customer experience survey, probably the biggest one we're ever going to do. And then social value, which is fab, but also linking that to Quest Prime and using the facility management tool to look at quality. It's going to give us a really interesting picture of A, how people are recovering, and B, recovering quicker.
Absolutely. I think it will be instrumental in both forming a national picture that can help organisations like ourselves, UK Active, DL UK, to really understand the sector and what further support it might be, and feed that again back up to government. But equally, on a local level, local authorities and their partners can really have informed decisions around future investment activities that happen on the ground that can strengthen their communities and improve health and well-being across their local area.
Absolutely, and you talk about the recovery and you talk about the future. We've got a budget coming up in the near future. I guess this data that we're going to be able to produce will not only raise awareness of what we actually achieve and some of the outcomes as well as the outputs of what we achieve in our sector, but also show the need for more resources. So is that part of the planning process for this?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, this will provide us with new evidence that we haven't seen before and needs to go back into those wider processes. So things around performance, sustainability, social value, the quality measures that you've talked about, you know, bringing those together and presenting a holistic picture is something that we've probably not been brilliant at doing before. And this is a real opportunity for ourselves, working with partners, to be able to talk about it on so many different levels that we've, like I say, not really been able to do accurately and consistently before.
Yeah. And that leads us to the future. You know, what are your hopes for this? Yeah, at the minute, it's monitoring and evaluation for the £100 million, but the opportunity to make this bigger must be part of your thoughts. Is that the case?
Yeah, absolutely. And the conversations I have with partners who are looking at it now, you know, it's what can we do next? Where I've got this question, can it be used to answer that? And the beauty of it is, you know, I think this is the beginning. It's an opportunity that we've taken on the back of the National Leisure Recovery Fund, but moving communities as a concept and as a tool, you know, I'm confident that it will be instrumental in a lot of different ways, and this is just the beginning.
Right. No, it's been very exciting to be part of it, and you keep having little ideas. You wake up with things. I've got notes by the side of my bed, so oh, it could do this and it could do that. And I think that's really important from my point of view. It's this opportunity that we've had to really prove what we're capable of doing and show the real true value of activity within our communities. I'm interested from a future point of view and Sport England's point of view, is how is this going to start looking at, you know, our facility strategy, and how does it link to the new 10-year strategy that you launched 4 weeks ago?
Well, we know that leisure centres play a huge part in getting communities moving. So this will really help us to understand the dynamics of that in more detail. And as I said, I think coming out of the global pandemic, sort of how different trends have been affected, and how we can make sure that we're attracting those people back into the centres. So there's an opportunity there. There's a huge amount that we can do to think about this in a place-based sense, I think. So leisure centres are part of the local offer, but they're not the only part. And I think for me, there's an opportunity to look at this going forward from more of a holistic sense in terms of facility provision and service provision across the community.
Absolutely, and it's not a bad place to start to finish. Sorry, the conversation. You know, benchmarking is going to be really important, both site by site, locally, nationally, and of course, being able to compare similar types of facilities with similar demographics, identify good practice, share that good practice, and then we all grow and learn from it. So, Emma, I'm going to say thank you so much for taking the time just to explain all of this to us, because I think it's really important that we get your views on it. But I'm going to reinforce the thanks to the amount of effort and hard work that you personally have put into this. So thank you so much, Emma. You take care, and we'll catch up soon.
Thanks, Dave.
Cheers. Bye-bye.